Hi everybody, welcome. Today we have a 30-minute strength training circuit. Things that I'm going to use today, I'm going to use my bench. I've got a moderately heavy kettlebell. You could also use a dumbbell. I have a round circle band and I also have a straight band here. Okay, you can do this workout with just one band and one bench. If you don't have a circle band, if you don't have a dumbbell or kettlebell, that's totally fine. I'll give you some modifications as we go. Okay, so each exercise today will be 45 seconds on with a 15-second break. We're gonna start with 3 warm-up activities. Okay, so the first is leg swings. And so for my first 45 seconds, I'm gonna focus on my right leg. And I spend about half my time doing forward swings. Again, with these forward swings, I wanna try to keep my hips straight ahead, and I'm really focusing on a nice big range of motion. Again, you might start small and kind of increase as you move through a couple of these leg swings. So spend about half your time going forward, and we'll do half our time laterally as well. Same gig when I do them laterally. I want to try to keep my hips square ahead and focus on a nice big range of motion. Okay, so we'll do 45 seconds each side for those leg swings. Our last of the warm-up activities will be a sumo squat with shoulder twist. Okay, so for this one, a nice wide stance here. My toes are pointed out. Okay, shoulders are back and down, and I'm gonna place my hands sort of on top of my quads here. I've got my garage door open and there are like some birds going crazy outside. I thought they were gonna fly in here. So anyway, so from this sumo squat position, I'm going to come down. I'm gonna bring my shoulder towards my opposite knee, back to center and back up. Down, rotate, back to center, and back up, okay? Next, we're ready to move into our circuit. For the circuit today, we have 12 different exercises. We'll do the circuit 2 to 3 times through. We'll do 2 times for simplicity's sake. If you are interested in 30 minutes for your workout, if you wanna make it a little longer, you do 3 rounds, it'll be about 42 minutes for your workout today, okay? So the first exercise is step ups. I'm gonna use my bench. If I don't have a bench, you can use the stairs in your house. You could use a chair, something like that, no problem, okay? Again, goals with this activity, keeping my core tight and really focusing on controlled movement, okay? So I'm gonna bring my foot up. I'm gonna drive my other knee up. Notice my toe is up as well. I've got my core nice and tight and alternating sides. Okay, if that's too easy for you, you can add some weight to this as well. You could hold 2 dumbbells in your hand. You could also hold a dumbbell or kettlebell here if you'd like a little more of a challenge for that one, okay? Next exercise is a curtsy lunge. Same thing, I'm gonna do it with just body weight. You can absolutely add weight. You can hold a dumbbell or kettlebell here, and that's probably the best place to do that if you wanna make this a little more challenging, okay? So for our curtsy lunge, we're gonna alternate sides. I'm taking a nice big step across, back to center. Again, trying to keep those shoulders up, core nice and tight. Okay? Next we have an elevated hip thrust. And I used my kettlebell for this. Again, you could do this without weight or with weight, whatever you got, whatever you feel like you need today. So I'm going to put my shoulders on my bench here. My feet are about shoulder width apart. And I'm going to, if you're not using weight, you can cross your hands in front here, or you can keep them kind of on your hips, okay? So for this, I'm going to lower my butt down, and I'm gonna drive up, really squeezing the glutes at the top, again, keeping that core nice and tight here at the top, and back down, okay? If you wanna do this weighted, the easiest way for us to do this is to grab a single dumbbell, kettlebell, something like that, and you're gonna kind of rest it on your tummy. Okay, so from this position, I can just keep my hands on that weight to keep it in place. I'm gonna lower myself down, and again, driving those hips up, pulling that core in tight, okay? So that's our elevated hip thrust. Again, if you didn't have a bench, you could do it off the side of your couch or something like that as well, okay? Next, we have an incline push-up. Lots of options here. I'm gonna have my hands flat on my bench. Again, if you don't have a bench, use a couch or something like that, something that's stable and is not gonna move on you. Okay, so I can come up to my toes, and in this position, I want my toes, my hips, my shoulders all in a nice straight line. Lower myself down, breathe out as I press up, okay? 45 seconds is pretty long to do push-ups. So if you wanna do, or if an incline push-up's too challenging, come down to your knees and do the best you can from this position. Again, if I'm in this position, I want my knees, hips, and shoulders all in a nice straight line, keeping that core tight while I go through that nice big range of motion, okay? Next we have a single leg RDL. I'm gonna use my moderately heavy kettlebell for this. You could do this with just body weight. Balance is pretty challenging for me. So again, if you wanna just kind of focus on that, you can absolutely do it with body weight. If you're gonna do it just body weight, I'm gonna start here. I'm gonna start with my knee up, toe up, and keeping that core nice and tight. I want my hips to stay straight ahead. As I reach down, I lose my balance here. As I reach down towards my opposite foot, okay? So drive up, reach straight down and back up. Drive up, reach straight down and back up, okay? If I'm gonna do this weighted, I'm gonna have the weight in the opposite foot that's staying stable, okay? So from this position, again, I wanna try to keep my shoulders and my hips straight ahead, and that's gonna allow me to really isolate that posterior chain, that hamstring of the foot that's stable, okay? So from this position, reaching straight down, back up. Okay, other things to note with this exercise, particularly if you're doing it with weight, I wanna keep my chest up, right? So as I come down, I wanna keep that chest up. I don't wanna hinge forward like this. I wanna keep that nice erect posture. And again, that's gonna allow me to really focus on activating that posterior chain, okay? So we'll do 45 seconds, left leg, 45 seconds with the right leg. We're good to go there. Okay, next we're moving to a banded lat extension. Okay, so I have my band suspended against my treadmill. Again, you could use a door or whatever you have to kind of keep that as a stable surface, okay? So from this position, I'm gonna hinge forward from my hips, and again, keeping that nice erect posture in my back. I'm gonna look down, and I'm keeping my hands kind of loose on these bands here. So again, I'm kind of holding with my thumbs, but again, you don't wanna tighten up, because that's gonna cause our shoulders to kind of squeeze up. We don't want that. So we wanna kind of be nice and relaxed here, and that's gonna allow us to really isolate these muscles here, our latissimus dorsi, okay? So from this position, again, I'm gonna hinge forward wherever I feel comfortable here, pulling back, breathe out as I pull back, okay? So that's our banded lat extension, okay? Next, we're moving to what's called a polyp press, okay? And again, I can kind of choose my level of difficulty based on where I stand in location in reference to my band, okay? So the further I get away from that point of attachment, the more challenging the exercise will be, okay? You can also do this from a kneeling position. I chose to do it from a standing position because that creates about an even line for where my band is attached, okay? So feel free to do it from a kneeling position like this. You can also do it like this as well, okay? So feel out what works for you, what you feel comfortable with, how much of a challenge do you want for the day. Okay, so I'm gonna have a slight bend in my knees. I'm kind of clasping my hands over the top of each other, and this is tricky. Like, this actually activates your core. I know, like, watching it, you wouldn't think that that's what the exercise is after, but really allows us to activate our core as we press this band straight forward, okay? So slow and controlled. Again, I want to keep my shoulders down, nice erect posture as I drive that band out. And again, you'll feel a great amount of core activation when you do that. Okay, so you're going to do the polyp press 45 seconds each direction. So you do 45 here, turn around, 45 here. Okay? All right, next we have a sumo squat to press. If you don't have a weight, that's okay. If you don't have a weight, you can just do a sumo squat and bring your hands overhead, okay? I chose to use a moderately heavy kettlebell. Again, if you had light dumbbells, you could also do this from here as well, okay? So you could do 2 dumbbells if you want. For simplicity's sake, I just used one weight today, okay? So again, toes are pointed out, feet are slightly wider than shoulder width. Sitting down into a nice deep squat position. Breathe out as I press that weight up, okay? Okay, just a couple errors to look for when you're doing these sumo squats. From this position, it's easy to want to kind of hinge forward here. I want to keep my shoulders, again, in line with my hips here, which is kind of tricky to do with this exercise, okay? So from here, I want to sit down into a nice controlled position where I'm really focusing on keeping those shoulders on top of those hips, okay? All right, 2 left. Next, I have a bear fire hydrant. This one I really like. Great for hip mobility, great for hip strengthening from an endurance perspective, okay? So I'm gonna place my band just below my knees, okay? And I'm coming down to all fours. And from this position, a couple different options, okay? I chose to lift up, so I'm gonna lift up my knees. So my toes are on the ground and my knees are just hovering slight above. I'm gonna pull out with a fire hydrant, alternating sides, and then you can set your knees down in between each rep if you'd like, okay? So hover your knees, fire hydrant, back down. Absolutely you can do this without a round band, okay? Absolutely you can do this from a quadruped position if you're not ready for that bear pose, just right here. Okay, again, banded or without a band, choose what's the right challenge for you based on where you're at, okay? And then our last exercise, this one's fun too, I like this. This is a down dog bear pike push-up. We got a lot going on here, lots of options because this one's pretty tough. Okay, so I'm gonna place my hands about shoulder width apart, spread my fingers out. I am pushing my toes into the ground, thinking about driving my heels down into a down dog, okay? From here, I'm going to bring my knees so that they're, again, hovering above the ground. I'm big into these bears right now, okay? Then I'm gonna slide forward, push up, and back up to the down dog, okay? I'll show you one more time. So from down dog, I'm going to bring my knees so they're hovering above the ground. Then I'm gonna slide my weight forward, push up, booty up, back to the down dog, okay? Options if you don't want to do that, if that's too hard, we can go down dog, bear, down dog, bear. Take the push up out, okay? Or you can go down dog, bear, modified push up, bring my knees to the ground, push up, and now back to the down dog, okay? So, you know, play around, see what feels good to you, see what you're comfortable with, see where your fitness level is, and where the right level of challenge is for you for that exercise, and for all of them for that matter, okay? So that's the end of the circuit. Again, you can do the circuit 2 or 3 rounds through. 2 rounds will give you 30 minutes, 3 rounds will give you 42 minutes for the day, okay? Now we're headed into our cool down. We have 3 exercises for our cool down. We'll start with a wide stance forward fold. So I've got my feet out nice and wide. I'm gonna hinge forward from the hips. Again, if I keep my back nice and erect here, I'm gonna feel a nice stretch in my hamstrings. If I allow myself to kind of round forward, that's gonna hit my back, okay? And that's gonna allow me to feel a nice stretch there. So play around, see what feels good for you, where are you tight, and kind of focus in on what you need to do today, what you need to get out of this, okay? From this position, I can grab a hold of my elbows and kind of pull those shoulder blades apart. I can also kind of sway side to side. This feels really good on my back. And my hamstrings are always so darn tight that this actually hits my hamstrings as well. It hits everything. So this is a nice one. Again, 45 seconds here, okay? Next we have a hip flexor stretch. Again, I want you to kind of play around and see where you're tight and where you need to really focus in, okay? And it seems like, you know, my right side's always tighter than my left. So kind of try to tune into those types of things. And again, that's probably an indication I've got some sort of imbalances going on. Doing a lot of these single leg, single arm activities can kind of help us to account for or address some of those imbalances that you might have as well, okay? So hip flexor stretch, I can stay here. I can bring my hand up and kind of reach back a little bit. I can also kind of come over to the side here and hit some of these side muscles, the obliques as well. Also hitting my lats, okay? Whatever feels comfortable, okay? So we'll do 20 seconds with our left leg forward and 20 seconds switch sides to do your right leg forward, okay? And then our last stretch of the day is a frog stretch or a frog pose, and I kind of do this one in a rocking fashion because I don't hold still well. Okay, so my toes are straight back. So the difference between this and child's pose is what's happening with my feet. Okay, so with child's pose, my feet are in. With frog's pose, my feet are kind of like parallel with my knees. And from this position, again, I can kind of sit my booty back wherever feels comfortable. And I kind of like to just kind of move through that range of motion. Like I said, I'm not really that great at holding still, so it feels good to kind of move through the range of motion for that frog stretch. Okay. And that, my friends, is a 30-minute circuit for you. I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time.